What's up, y'all? It's Wednesday, so y'all know what time it is. It is time for Wednesday's word. Yes, Wednesday's word for women. The fellas is, part of the delegation too. It's all good. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I am Clint. Y'all know y'all girl is. Y'all know this is one of the highlights of my week. I just love it. I just love you guys so much. I love my favorite book in the whole world, this Bible, and just to dive into it. One of my greatest joys, truly. I mean, for real, it really truly is, because I understand there is, man, if we would just take these 66 books, y'all, and apply them, learn from them, gain our wisdom, get strength, draw from, let it teach us, let it upgird us, let it direct us, man, I'm telling y'all, our lives would just be rocking the planet. And this is no diss to anyone. I'm just saying, man, this word is wow. I mean, it's just wow. So anywho, I hope your week thus far has been rocking the planet. Y'all know I do. Your day up to this point has been flipping along fantabulously, but y'all know if it has not. What is our motto? Our motto is that we grab a hold of something through the Rolodexes of our mind to be grateful and thankful for, because we understand that gratefulness and thankfulness is one of the best antidepressants that there is. It will lift any mood when you understand and get to start thinking about, I may not be who I want to be. And I know none of us are, but oh my gosh, y'all, sometimes we get so focused on who we're not, we forget to celebrate who we are in light of where we was and who we used to be. And so I just, man, don't ever get so future focused that you forget to celebrate and exist in the now, y'all. Some of us have everybody has came from some show enough stuff to see yourself come out of, overcome, learn from, get wiser, get stronger, get smarter. It's a great thing, y'all, and it'll lift your mood, because even if it ain't all gravy, you be like, well, it might not be all good, but thank God it ain't what it was. You know what I'm saying? And those things that it ain't like we wanted, y'all know we never belittle our struggle, and we never minimize ours to maximize another, but we understand that it could be worse. I mean, there is somebody out here, y'all, that the very thing that is causing us pain, the very thing that is making us regret, or the very thing that is just getting on our nerves, they are praying for. If they had just a little bit of what we got, they will be forever grateful. It will change their whole life. And not saying that it doesn't matter that you are, in the struggle, but you just understand, man, it could be worse. Somebody woke up and their loved one, the one they hold dearest to their heart, has left this earth. Someone has woke up, and not knowing that they woke up, they done lost their mind, or they're stressed and anxiety ridden. Someone is so depressed they can't even get out the bed, y'all. Some people are, they're sick. They're wishing that they could sit here looking, and hearing somebody talk. You feel me? And I'm not belittling our issues, y'all, but we do got to understand that he has graced each and every one of us individually for our lives. And so can be just thankful that I'm going through what I'm going through, because you couldn't walk in my shoes. Same token, I can't walk in your shoes. You know what I'm saying? I'm graced for my stuff, my mess, my jumps, my wins, my losses. You're graced the same way for yours. And so we can be grateful and thankful for whatever it is, wherever we find ourselves. We can get through it, and it will get better. And if it has got worse than it was, it seems like we have got set back. No, but it's not a setback. It's a setup for a comeback. I truly believe that. That ain't just some little saying. Like, seriously, y'all, we got to start looking at things in a different perspective, because, man, yes, in this life you're going to have trouble. We know that. The issue is not that we're having trouble. The issue is, will we depend on the one who's overcome this trouble? Will we lean and look to him and to help us overcome, or just stand through while the trouble is going on, whatever it is that you need to do in your trouble. So y'all, we take heart that we're not who we used to be. And we're so glad. Things might not be good, but they've not had their words. And if they have went back, they're going to bounce back. So it's all gravy. Anyway, so we are in week 5, and we are going to be talking about Hagar, y'all. She's so important. You know, she is in Sarah and Abraham's story, but we are talking about Hagar, because Hagar is what most of us have experienced, and I'm loving her because I understand that, like her, we have ran, and like her, stuff has happened to us that by no fault of our own. We had nothing to do with what happened to us, yet we are the ones that get used, and we're the one that get abused, and we're the one that gets the short end of the stick by no fault of our own. And everybody, I know everybody's had something like that in your life. And so she teaches us some great principle, and I'm gonna give it to you up top, and it is this: there is a purpose to your pain, boo-boo. There is a purpose to your pain. You can sustain and remain if you find the purpose in your pain. Some of us got stuck because we just didn't understand, why did this happen to me? Why, God? Why would you allow this to happen to me? Or how could they do that to me? You know what I'm saying? And you get stuck there. But if you can, as she did, if you can find the purpose in your pain to sustain and remain, you can come through it. And so we're going to jump into Hagar, and she's found in Genesis, and we're going to start at chapter 16. And I'm not reading all of the verses, but I'm going to start at verse 6. And I'll give you the context of this. She is, of course, the woman that Sarah gave to Sarai at that time gave to Abram as a handmaiden to have the promised child that Sarah was not having. And so, it came, they did the do. She was taken as like a secondary wife, and that's not anything strange, because back then they had multiple wives, so that's not nothing strange. But what happened because of it, now this is where we can learn and glean from. And so jump ahead to, okay, she did the do, she got pregnant, Sarah got to feeling salty, and it says in verse 6, Genesis 16 verse 6, but Abram said to Sarah, but Abram said to Sarah, look, your maid is entirely in your hands and subject to your authority. Do as you please with her. So Sarai treated her harshly and humiliated her, and Hagar fled from her. And remember that she's in the spot that she was given as his second wife, as his handmaid, his concubine, his whatever, to have to fulfill this promise of the promise of the child through no fault of her own. And so Sarah gets salty, and then she treats her harshly, humiliating her. So Hagar flees, and then I'm going to jump down to verse 11. The angel of the Lord continued, behold, you are with child, and you will bear a son, and you shall name him Ishmael. God hears, because the Lord has heard and paid attention to your persecution and suffering. Okay, so here's the thing, y'all. This woman, through no fault of her own, she was a slave. She didn't have and she was a woman, and she was a foreigner because she was an Egyptian slave. So she had no rights. There was nothing she could have done to prevent this. And they used her to solve their problem. And then when it manifests, then they get mad, and Sarah just treats her like crap, humiliating her and treating her just wrong. But then the Lord, that's what I wanted to get you to see. He sees, verse 13. Then she called to the name of the Lord who spoke to her, you are God who sees me. For she said, have I not even here in the wilderness remained alive, seeing him who sees me with understanding and compassion? I don't know why some people do what they do. I don't know why it's allowed. I don't know none of that. But I know for sure that he sees me and what it has done to me, and he sees you. And if you could just find the purpose to your pain, you can overcome everything that it done to wreck you, to make you think you were less than, to harm you, to change the trajectory of who you thought you are, that gave you that insecurity. that made you think something is somehow wrong with you. He sees you. He sees you and I. And so like I always say, not belittling that struggle, but it comes a point in life that you got to make a bridge over your issues and get over them. And she is a perfect example. She ran away, and that's our tendency. You know, I ran away, and I'm sure a lot of you ran away, and that not just physically, but into addiction or into, you know, status or jobs or whatever it is that helps you forget, that helps you self-medicate. But boo-boo, you gonna have to go back like she did. The Lord told her to go back, and that might seem cruel, but no, she had to work out the purpose to her pain. She was going to get her blessing. He blessed Ishmael, numberless descendants, so she got her blessing too. And so what we have to do, we cannot keep running from our pain, because it's always going to be there. That thing is always going to be there. So why not heal and deal? And then you will get to see the blessing. Okay, and so then let's flip on over to to chapter 21. Her story isn't over, because then it really gets real. So Hagar goes back. She goes back to Sarai. She obeys the Lord. She has the baby. This woman is humiliating her, treating her cruelly, y'all. This is 14 years she went back. Abraham was 86 years old. He didn't have Isaac till he was, 100. So that means that was 14 years. But then after Isaac got weaned, that's 3 more years. What we kind of think what it took. At least 2, but probably more than likely 3. So that's 17 years this woman was getting done wrong, y'all. This woman. And so we're going to go to verse 21. Chapter 21, and I'm going to read. This is after Sarah. She is now Sarah, not Sarai. She's had the promise fulfilled. She's had her baby. So I'm pretty sure she was really cutting up like, yeah, look at me now. You know what I'm saying? I got my baby. Now I really don't need you. You know what I'm saying? You was here for 17 years. At 14, we know at least. Girl, bye. 2 steps to the left. So Sarah turns against Hagar is what chapter 21, the pericope says. Now verse 9. Now as time went on, Sarah saw Ishmael, the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking Isaac. Therefore, verse 10, therefore she said to Abram, drive out this maid and her son, for the son of this maid shall not be an heir with my son Isaac. 11, the situation distressed Abraham greatly because of his son Ishmael. Like, mind you, this is like at 16, 17 years later. He loved his son, y'all. It wasn't like he didn't love his son. I'm sure even Sarah had feelings, because that was the stand-in son, though he wasn't the promise. And so it's like, oh my gosh, she really is tripping. What am I going to do? This is my son. I love him. I love Isaac too, but this is my son too. So Abraham goes, you know, he prays, and God said, do not let it distress you, because Ishmael and your maid, whatever Sarah tells you, listen to her and do what she asks. For your descendants will be named through Isaac. And remember the promise of Ishmael, that he was going to be a numerous people too. So verse 14. So Abraham got up early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar, putting them on her shoulder, and gave her the boy and sent her away. And she left, but she lost her way and wandered aimlessly in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was all gone, Hagar abandoned the boy under one of the bushes. 16, then she went and sat down opposite him, about a bow shoot away, for she said, do not let me see the boy die. And as she sat down opposite him, she raised her voice and wept. Okay, y'all get this picture. So she went back and endured 17 more years of this cruelty and this suffering, all this from Sarah, because she had found the purpose in her pain. And then to come to find out, now it seems as if that the whole purpose, her whole thing in life is going to be took away from her. The very thing that she kept getting up, she kept facing, she kept grinding, she kept going, was about to die. Look at that. I know some of y'all situations has seemed like that. It seems so dire. Like, what is this, God? I survived this. I got over that. And so now you're going to take the very thing that I have leaned on, that I have depended upon. But let me tell you something. If you don't have If you don't get true healing, that thing that you found your purpose in, that thing, if it is gone, then you will be destroyed. What you have to do, yes, we get over and we heal and we find the purpose in our pain, but we can't so much depend on, okay, what that thing is we leaning in. We have to lean on the one who helped us find the purpose in the thing. Because if you are holding on to him, it doesn't matter what comes and what goes, you still gonna be all right. But just imagine the burden and weight of this mother. She suffered so much and held on to say he was her hope. He was her promise. And then to think, oh my gosh, he's about to go, he's about to die, and there's nothing she could do. Nothing. So here we are. She put him under a tree because she couldn't watch him die. Can you imagine? Mothers, even fathers, can you imagine the weight of that? And that cry must have been terrible. I mean, but I want you to know that it's okay, boo-boo. You need to cry. Cry out. This cry got the attention of God. Verse 17. No, verse 16. Then she went and sat opposite him about a bow sheet away, for she said, do not let me see the boy die. And as she sat down opposite, she raised her voice and wept. Verse 17. God heard the voice of the boy, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what troubles you, Hagar? Do not be afraid, for God has heard the voice of the boy from where he is resting. Get up and help the boy and hold him by the hand, for I will make him a great nation. 19. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the empty skin with water and gave the boy a drink. Verse 20. God was with Ishmael, and he grew and developed and lived in the wilderness and became an expert archer. 21. He lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Okay, so here's the picture. Like the cries of them, y'all. He hears our pain. Don't ever try to hold your pain in. I know we try to do that because sometimes you feel like, I know I have, if I let go and let this pain go, I ain't gonna be able to pull myself back. I'm not gonna be able to. If I just let this thing loose, I don't know if I'm gonna survive and whoever's around me is going to survive, because it's that painful. Here's the thing that I want you to see. God knows this, y'all. God knows. There is nobody that can even handle the weight of some of our pains. There is nobody that can handle that cry. And most of us have a cry, and like her, there's another cry that goes along with it. It has affected something else. In my case, I know my cry has affected my kids, just like Ishmael's, it affected him. But listen, just as she cried out and they cried out, God came and made a ministry out of their misery. He gave an abundant promise. He made up for all that they have lost. This says that he made him into a great nation, numerous. Like he kept his promise to them. So though it looks like pain is going to overwhelm us and overtake us, y'all, it won't if you put that pain in the hands of the one who can handle it. He is the only one that can handle it, but then take it and make good of it. Romans tells us that all things work together for the good of those who are called according to his purpose. He will shape that thing into a purpose for us. I promise. No, I don't understand it. I don't even know why it has to go that way, but I do know, I've experienced, and I know some of you can testify to the fact that my greatest pain, my greatest ministry became my biggest ministry. And you need to know that that's tied to others. Hers was tied to Ishmael. Had she ran and gave up, he would have not got this promise that he got. He would not have made it. Ain't no telling what would have happened to them if she would not have went back and suffered and endured. What would have happened to her son? And that's for us, mothers and fathers. If we don't deal with our mess, what's going to happen to our kids? We can short circuit their promises. We can impede it or hinder it or prolong it if we don't do our part, so that then they can do their part. There is stuff that's family, generational curses, generational issues that we need to deal with, so that we can get this great nation of healing, this great nation of stopping these things that are keeping us back and hinder us. These great nations of promises, these great nations of shifting cultures, these great nations of turning wrong mindsets and getting the right one. These great nations of healing. That is what is at stake here. So as Hagar tells us, she shows us that there is a purpose to our pain. Find that purpose. And there is a God who sees you. He sees you. He knows. And he will, in spite of however you got there, whatever was done, he will make a purpose for that. And you will be able to sustain yourself. And sustain means to strengthen, support physically and mentally. You can undergo suffering. You can something unpleasant and endure, because he will help sustain you. That is part of your purpose in your pain. That is a true thing, and it can happen for you and I if we will just allow the one who sees us hear our cry, tell us what to do. You got to follow what he do. She had to go back. She had to listen to what they were saying to her. You got to do that, and whatever he tells you, that is a clue. And that is going to be a help to sustain you till you get to that promise. Father God, as Hagar, some of us have got the rough end of the stick, a raw deal, a bad deck of cards. But just as her, in the end, you can give anybody a pain for their purpose. You can give anybody ministry for their misery. You can use that very thing that is sent to destroy us to make us into something great. It does not matter how we start. It does not matter what we suffer, though it hurts, though it's hard. What matters is what we do with what has happened in light of everything that's gone down, Lord. We keep so focused on the pain and so focused on the wrong that they were done. We never get to that point of saying, okay, here I am, God. Let's use this pain and create purpose. You said that all things work together for good, and we know for your purpose. So if it's happening, we know that you can make it a part of our purpose. It's a part of our journey. It's a part of our process. Lord, help us to see. You are the God who sees us. Help us to see the purpose in whatever and everything that has happened, that has stunted us, that has held us back, that has hindered us, that has made us insecure, that has made us afraid and fearful. Help us to see the purpose in that, so that we can sustain and get through these things and become a mighty nation. It's in and God, we know we can trust that you can do that, because you are God. And you can do exactly what you say you can do. And since you are, we know that we are exactly who you say we are. And we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And that is even finding a purpose in our pain. And this word will help us. It's a light, guide, and lamppost. If we would just use it and apply it and trust you, we can trust you. We can trust you. It's in your Son, my Savior, Jesus' name. I see y'all next week, you guys. Hagar, y'all read her story. She's in Genesis 16 and Hagar in Genesis 16 and 21. I'm telling you, y'all, there is healing, there is freedom there from these bondages that has held us. We can have a purpose in our pain that will transcend anything that was done to us if we would just allow God, what God can do to us greater than what has happened to us. He can get something through us, y'all. He can get some. And what he did for us, it don't matter what nobody did. Ain't nobody went through what he did. What he did for us trumps anything anybody has done to us. And he will help us use it. I'll see y'all next week.